The title of this video is Moon in Libra, Secrets that Nobody Tells You. So since there is a full moon lunar eclipse in Libra on March 25, 2024, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video about the moon in Libra as an aspect. Specifically if you have moon in Libra in your natal chart, but even if you don't, even if you're just watching this because it is a moon in Libra and you want to know more about this particular transit, this video is for you. So first of all, my chart ruler is a moon in Libra because I'm a Cancer rising moon in Libra person, and this eclipse of 2024 in Libra is exactly 4 to 5 degrees of Libra, and my Libra moon is 4 to 5 degrees of Libra. So this is exactly in less than 1 degree on my natal moon. And I'm an astrologer. I do this for work. The moon is in charge of my chart because I'm a Cancer rising. So therefore, moon in Libra dominates my personality. Therefore, there is no better person to talk about displacement than somebody like me. So that is why I'll tell you what I know and what I think. So first of all, if you've watched any of my other Libra videos, then you know that Libra, if it's placed in the big three, which is Sun, Moon or Rising, in my opinion, is a malefic, because Libra is against the self. Libra is the sign of the other. Libra is about co-regulation. Libra is about transaction, getting something through others. You see, it's about buying and selling. It's about attracting somebody to pay you. It's about trust. It's about cooperation. It's about we. Meaning, not me, we, you and me. So that means you are required in order for my Libra placement to function. And that is of course a big problem if it's placed in the big three, because the big three represent the self. The self is placed in the sign of we. That is a bit strange, isn't it? Because Y is the moon, which represents your mind, which represents your happiness, which represents your safety, right? This is what you need to be rooted. This is what you need to be stable. Why would somebody have the moon in Libra? Meaning their sense of safety, security, happiness depends on the other. Now that is the most codependent placement you could possibly have in astrology, and I have this placement. Of course, I'm just saying this is one placement. So just because you have moon in Libra in your natal chart, you're not going to be a slave to other people for the rest of your life. Isn't what it means. It's about the placement itself. So if you have other factors in the natal chart that emphasize independence or self-assertion, then you can get happiness even if you're alone. Especially if the ruler of moon in Libra, which is Cancer, if Cancer is well placed in your chart, which it is in my case, which is why I can be alone. However, my moon itself as a placement is not happy alone, because Libra, it's about attraction. It's about beauty, grace, elegance, which pretty much is completely meaningless if there's nobody to watch you. Yeah, it's a sign of a mirror. Yeah, the mirror is actually the sign of Venus. So if you go to a shop and you find a mirror, that is a symbol to Venus. You could literally make an altar with a mirror and then you could do a spell for Venus or whatever. Because that's what Libra represents. Libra is about showing you yourself. Because it's about awareness of the other, awareness of the self. Self-awareness is absolutely crucial for Moon in Libra. Because for some reason, there is a self-awareness issue. That means you are punished if you're not careful. Yeah. If you are punished if you don't wait before taking action. You are punished, Saturn is exalted in Libra, that's why I'm talking about punishment, if you do not watch it. Yeah, so this is a tyrannical, controlling, narcissistic, negatively oriented mother if you have a Moon in Libra in your placement. Also, if you have Moon in Libra like a full moon right now, that means the issue of I better watch it, I better be careful, I better wait, I better find more information before taking action is emphasized. And this is an issue because, of course, as an intellectual sign, it's all about information, so you can take appropriate action that gets validation, that gets beneficial outcomes, that gets good karma. Because again, Saturn is exalted in Libra. Libra's function is to do appropriate action, correct action, to have the correct relationship with somebody or something, aka yourself or the other. And if you don't have that, if for some reason you're lacking information, if for some reason you're impulsive or you're reactive and you do something wrong, you get punished for it severely. And I mean severely. There's really an issue here because you're on a tightrope, right? It's the sign of balance, it's the scale. Well, if you look for a symbolism of a scale, in Egyptian mythology, Anubis, he puts your heart on a scale, and if it fails to be as light as a feather, he will throw your soul into the crocodile, and you will die. So there's again this emphasis of the scale is about punishment. And of course, when there is justice with courts, lawyers, execution, the law itself, punishment, punishment, punishment. And that's the thing Libra is trying to avoid. While at the same time, getting rewarded, getting a good transaction. That's why you see the scale in marketplaces. That's why you see the scale in, let's put the money on and when you get this in return, blah, 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 transaction. It's not exactly exciting, the scale. But it does get exciting if you place the scale in the position of the moon. Because the moon is nurturing, is protection. What are you protecting? The transaction, which is about karma, right? If it's a karmic connection, meaning it's a connection that has no beneficial outcomes, a connection that leads nowhere, Moon in Libra should be the best placement to handle that. However, can also be the worst, because the Moon in Libra conditioning is take action too quickly and you will feel guilty. Because what regulates decision making is guilt. What regulates decision making is fear. That's why the Lord, that is responsible for fear, self-protection, guilt, shame, a conscience, Saturn, is exalted in Libra. Because guilt is how it functions. Yeah, so for example, if you have, let's say Mars functions through protection. So it functions through fear. Both Saturn and Mars revolve around fear, but differently. Mars has nothing to do with guilt. Guilt has no role to play, but with Saturn it does. With Libra it does. So as a function in the natal chart, if you have Moon in Libra, to get emotional safety, to be happy in your life, you have to have a very, very conscious connection with guilt. You have to be aware what makes you feel guilty, why you feel guilty, and how to protect yourself so you don't feel guilty again and again. Because guilt is, how do you call it in psychology? It's against the ego. Yeah, it makes the ego uncomfortable. It weakens the ego. That's why Libra, when placed in the big three, it weakens the personality. It stifles it. It puts the lid on, so to speak. So that means you are suppressed in some ways if you have Libra in the big three. And what is suppressed specifically with the moon? How you find safety, how you attach to a person, your emotional life, your needs. These things need to be expressed through the moon, through body sensations. And the primary sensation that happens with Libra is guilt. So for example, if you have moon in Aries, the primary sensation that the moon in Aries person has is irritation, anger. Yeah? And if you have moon in Pisces, the primary sensation is fear, running away, avoidance. So there is a different body sensation connected to the moon in each placement. The sensation of guilt is contractive, is blocking, it's withholding, it's stifling, it's don't move, it's freezing. And because it's freezing, that's why it's cold, because it's air element. And air element, it needs to move freely, needs to be free. Freedom is the main thing, but it's essentially what is stifled when Libra, a sign of air, is placed in the big three. And a lot of people will argue about this, who are completely clueless about psychology, about how the human body functions in relation to the signs and symbols. So whoever wants to argue this, let me just save you the time. You are clueless, and I have no time to argue about how the body functions when the person, whoever is arguing, has no clue what they're talking about. Because Libra, it's cold, it's detached, it's distant, it thrives through distance, because that gives it space to make decisions. Because it's all about fear, 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 fear. So the mother is experienced as fear-inducing. Yeah? The child is afraid of the mother. The mother is tyrannical, controlling, aggressive, emotionally unstable, because to have moon in Libra means you have to be stable. To walk on eggshells, to make sure you don't trigger the poor, tyrannical, emotionally immature, mentally deranged mother, because the moon in Libra, as all air moons, stifling to the emotions. If you look into Ayurveda, and you look into how the air element functions in the body, how the air affects the body, for example, air is drying, air is head, right? It's thinking, it's analytical. Well, moon is sensation based, moon is body, moon is unconscious. And Libra is a very conscious sign. So the moon in Libra person is very conscious of their emotions. Why should somebody be conscious? Because they're vigilant, because they're fearful, because they're hyper self-aware, because they're trying to protect themselves. So that's why the moon in Libra takes a very self-protecting function. Of course, the moon itself is about protection in general. But here, who are you protecting yourself from? You're protecting yourself from the other. And that is also how the symbolism actually is enhanced. Because if you look at Libra, the other is what you're protecting yourself from, because you try to keep distance, because you try to keep it light, you try to keep it superficial. That's what Libra is about, superficiality. It's wrong placed if it's in the moon. The moon is the opposite. Moon is intimacy, moon is connection, moon is bonding, moon is attachment, moon is I need you to regulate my bodily functions, my bodily fluids, the waters inside me which are filled with emotions. And if I cannot take action because I'm stifled, because I'm fearful, because I keep my distance, because I keep it superficial, because I keep it light, everything that Libra represents, because if I do all of these things that Libra is about, my moon is not going to function properly. Period. No argument. So, the only way to make Libra moon function properly is by understanding how it functions in a healthy way. So, in order to get what it needs, in order to get the person secure, the person needs to charm others. The person needs to be liked. The person needs to be mirrored, validated. There needs to be agreement between one and the other. That means Libra moon cannot take disagreement, cannot take distance, but at the same time demanding distance. This is a funny thing. If you see a Libra moon person and they keep the distance from you, it's nothing to do with you. They're afraid of you. But if you try to close the gap, they're secretly wishing that you do that. Yeah. I like to refer to this as something I saw in a vision about this particular place, and because I have it, I look at it as the looking away woman. Now, the looking away woman is an archetypal image you see in certain movies, models. They use it in advertisements sometimes. They use it in depictions of art, where a woman looks somewhere, just not at you, to pretend that she's not interested in you, to attract you. And this is something that actually animals sometimes do in nature. Like the peacock will show its feathers while pretending that the peacock doesn't need you, while pretending that the peacock is the most attractive person in the room. So the person will never approach you. The Libra moon person, Libra is a cowardly sign. It's all about magnetism because it's Venusian. Venus attracts in a yin way. Yeah, in a yin way means you come to me, I don't come to you. However, Libra is a cardinal masculine sign, which is why Libra is quite flirtatious. But at the same time, if it's placed in the moon, it's completely fearful of the flirting, fearful that the person's needs, their emotions, their feelings are going to be found out. Because Libra is the antithesis to emotionality, is the antithesis to feelings, is the opposite, doesn't want feelings, wants mind. It's about control, scale, balance, harmony. Keep it tight, locked. Again, stifling. So, the emotionality is, you need to keep it down. You need to keep it quiet. And that is very traumatizing to the child. So if somebody has a moon in Libra, the mother probably tried to suppress the ego, tried to keep the child down. Every time the child had an emotion, had a need, like, mommy, love me, please take care of me, child would get punished for it. It has to happen because the moon is only in a sign that shows a repetitive, consistent pattern of behavior over and over and over again. To rigidly lock in the superficiality, the coldness, the detachment, the looking away, I don't give a shit about you, I'm attractive, I'm the one who needs help, not you. The child becomes a parentifier. The child becomes the regulator of other people. So that's why it's an indicator of attracting narcissists in the natal chart. Somebody has moon in Libra. So if you have full moon in Libra like it is not now, in transit, narcissism can be a big theme. It can also be that you're attracting people who are lying to you. Manipulation. People who are avoiding you. People who try to pretend, no, I don't need you, I don't want you. While at the same time, they're obsessed with you. People who keep secrets from you. People who try to play games, who are strategic, tactical. All of this is the domain of Libra. It's the domain of playing chess. It's the domain of whatever you're feeling must be controlled. And that is why it's a very narcissistic also placement in general. Yeah. If you have multiple indicators, like the sun, rising, moon, in Libra, on top of other air placements in the natal chart, you have a cocktail of a denial of the true self. Because denial of the true self is narcissism, Libra is the antithesis of the self. That means superficial relationships, contacts that are really not compatible with you. Contracts that are merely transactional, come and go, treat you for a one-night stand, and then disappear like you don't matter. This is the domain of Libra. Sorry, not sorry, but this is psychopathic kind of sign. And to put a psychopathic sign in the domain of a self means that the self itself becomes psychopathic in its behavior. And of course, the moon is an indicator of what strategies the person is using to regulate their emotions, to make themselves feel safe, secure, in any kind of relationship. So the psychopathic style of not giving a shit about anybody or anything, which is the nature of Libra, is going to take precedent in the relationships of a Libra moon person. The Libra moon person may frequently try to make boundaries, trying to keep away whatever signs of intimacy that could suggest that the Libra moon person isn't as bossy and not giving a shit about everybody as they like to make everybody think. And of course, if you look at this in the chart of a person, you want to understand that the moon is all about the person's insecurities. The moon in the chart shows you a person's defenses in their body. The defenses and adaptations that they needed to develop to have a healthy attachment to the mother. So the healthy attachment between the child and the mother was psychopathic or narcissistic in nature by default. No argument. Yeah, keep it quiet. When you have moon in Libra. Also, the same applies if you have sun in Libra. If you're sun in Libra, your relationship with your father is psychopathic in nature. Oh, how can you use this term? Yeah, shut the fuck up. Psychopathic means the person is completely detached from reality. Reality means what the person is feeling, a personal experience, their needs, their emotions. A psychopath is the antithesis to that. Libra, by default, this is nature, is the antithesis to that. So if anybody is confused about what a person's personality is like, if they have Libra and the big three, but of course, again, it's only one placement. So unless you have a Libra stellium, which I really hope you don't, then there's nothing to worry about. Unless there are other psychopathic indicators in the chart. Fortunately for me, Libra moon is basically the only psychopathic placement that I have. All the rest of my chart is complete opposite. I'm a sun and ascendant in Cancer. I have Saturn in Pisces, Mars in Virgo. All of these placements are completely oriented towards protection, service, health, and well-being, which is the complete opposite of what Libra is trying to achieve. Libra is only trying to achieve attraction, transaction, charm. It's trying to use people, usury, objectification, buying and selling. Sorry, not sorry, but it's a sign of finances. It's a sign of money. It's a sign of you give me and I give you and that's it. It's very unemotional. It's a scale. I mean, what do you expect? It's an object. There's no other object in astrology. It's not an animal. It's not a person. It's static. It's dead. It's empty. It's derived of anything and everything that makes a person human. But that is only on the surface of a symbolism. If you actually understand Libra at a deeper level, you will access other aspects of this. For example, because it corresponds with Venus as its ruler, Libra represents the archetype of a lover. Yeah. So even though the facade of the peacock is very strong, love is the goal. Yeah. So even though it's all about transaction and give and take, the goal is commitment. The goal is you and me. And you and me cannot survive without love. That is why it's a sign of bindings, contracts, right? Justice. Justice means we are meant for each other. We are doing the right thing. We are married. We are agreeing on sharing everything. So everything that you share is governed by the sign. Sharing is caring. If you don't give a shit, you're not going to share. However, only if you access the deeper levels of this sign. Because if you have this placement in the natal chart, or like right now, it's a Libra full moon, the only way to access the deeper layers of the consciousness of Libra is to understand the archetype of Venus, which is the archetype not only of the lover, but also the prostitute. It's the archetype of a courtesan, the archetype of a model. It's the archetype of the seductress, the enchantress. And of course, that's why sparkling, glitter, glamour, these things are associated with Libra, because these are the things that you need to attract a good object. A good object, whether that's a transaction or a person. So that's why Libra moon is the most intuitive, the most psychologically hip and intelligent to attract other people. So that's why it's one of the most favorable placements you can have for business. It's one of the most favorable placements you can have for dating. It's one of the most favorable placements, actually the most favorable placement by design, to have healthy relationships with others. Because healthy relationships depend on you being able to understand how your actions affect the other. Why? Because remember, Libra is about manipulation. Libra is about charm. But you can only charm somebody if you know how your actions affect them. Meaning, for proper manipulation, you require empathy. Yes, you require empathy. You need to see yourself in the other. You need to understand yourself from the other person's perspective. You need to be self-aware. You need to be socially intelligent. You need to feel what's going on when the moon is in Libra. Not the sun. The sun is not about emotional intelligence. Sorry, not sorry. But the moon in Libra is. Because your feeling, your cells have been conditioned, have adapted to charm people automatically, unconsciously. If you try to resist it, remember what happens? Guilt, pain, punishment. So your own body will punish you if you don't charm other people. Your own body will punish you with very bad sensations, cramps, freeze responses, contractions, fatigue, tiredness, if you don't get on other people's good side, if you have moon in Libra. Now there's two ways you can look at this. Either You're a people pleaser, codependent, which is the shadow, or you do this consciously while adhering to some kind of rule, some kind of law, some kind of justice. And that's actually the reason why Libra is the scale of justice. Because not only rules it over the lover archetype, but also the warrior archetype. It's the lover warrior. Half warrior, half lover, because guess what? The judge puts you into the prison. The policeman is an entity governed by the Libra-Aries axis. So right now this full moon is about reward and punishment, which needs to be delivered through some kind of rules. So rules are enforced by Libra, which is why it's a cardinal sign. Cardinal means a lawyer, a priest, a pope, somebody in government, a police officer, military, somebody who works in the upper. A cardinal gives commands. A cardinal executes. A cardinal fulfills the order. So, Libra is about enforcing objective reality. It's about enforcing the order of things. And to do that, you can't be in your emotions. You can't be in your feelings. Unfortunately, Moon in Libra this is really the last place you want Libra to be in. Well, I think Sun in Libra is worse, but they are in a good competition. Because the Moon is about intuition. It's about subjective reality, which is required to protect the body. And of course, personal considerations, the soul, the body. It's not always in alignment with justice, not always in alignment with reality, because the body is full of illusions. The Moon in Tarot is about fears and illusions, about psychic conditioning. So here the Moon in Libra has to learn whether my feelings are telling the truth, yes or no. Because if they don't, the Moon can't function properly. And the issue is that because of astrology and about how the structure of the body functions, that the Moon in Libra is it depends who you're with. Yeah, whatever people you're dealing with, your body will respond differently to each situation to tell you this is what you need to do. And that is why the same rules do not apply to every relationship. So, for example, if you have a Sun in Libra, the Sun in Libra person always needs to apply the same rules, basically, to every relationship. But the Moon in Libra person cannot. Because the Moon in Libra person feels differently about each person. So the body will create body sensations to punish the person for refusing to be self-absorbed, self-considerate, selfish. Because again, Libra is the antithesis of selfishness, but the Moon is all about the self. So what do we do then? We have kind of a situation with this placement where you have an individual that can only function intelligently in the world when they listen to their body, but they have a placement that is completely anti-body. How can they make the placement work? They can make it only work if there's some kind of understanding of psychology, if there's self-awareness, if you know why you're feeling something, what you're doing. Because again, Libra is all about information. If you don't know what's going on, you cannot take action. And unfortunately, your body knows what is right and wrong light years before your mind knows. You see, that is actually what's interesting. Because here we are moving from the bad shit about this aspect to the good shit. Because Moon in Libra knows instinctively right from wrong. Person knows morals, ethics on the cellular level. Now this sounds very funny perhaps, but for example, if somebody does you wrong, your body will force you to take revenge. In the case of Libra, this is a revengeful actually this placement, if it's functioning properly. If somebody does you good, you will feel like you want to return it. And you just will. If, for example, you had Aries moon, sorry, not sorry, but the person couldn't care less about returning any favors. The person also couldn't care less about revenge. But in Libra, the scale has to be balanced. That means it is an excellent placement for lawyers if the person is an intuitive type. Meaning, if a person is acting on the intuition. And the intuition has to be pretty good. Otherwise, the placement cannot function properly. So, for example, if you have a moon in Libra, but you have loads and loads of air placement and you have no water, no fire in your chart, not impossible, but it will definitely be more difficult to make this placement work. Because you need to feel that you know what's right and wrong. And if you don't trust your own sense of right and wrong, which is happening on the cellular level, not mind, then you're screwed. Then you are paralyzed. When all the bad traits, all the shit show that I was talking about earlier about Libra moon is going to happen, in which you feel stifled, paralyzed, frozen, manipulative, strategic. All of these things happen only if you don't act on your intuition. And that is the function that is cardinal, to act. That is why Libra is a cardinal sign. And moon in Libra means your body is telling you this is wrong, cut it out. Your body is telling you this is right, do it. However, trauma also happens in the body. And your body can't tell the difference between trauma and reality. Your body can't tell the difference between truth and lie when it is traumatized. Meaning the placement can only function properly, just like any moon, the person has already reserved their traumas. Which is why most Libra moons, they will go through a lot of karma in their relationships, a lot of bad stuff. Because for one thing, either they're not listening to their body when their body is warning them, or their body is warning them when there's nothing to be warned about. The person can only learn how to navigate this through relationships. So the original wound with a mother, where the mother was controlling, tyrannical, gaslighting, invalidating, has to be resolved before the moon can function properly. Now, of course, I could talk about any moon placement, and this applies to any moon, so it's not like it's exclusive to this moon placement. So anyways, this moon placement, is very good for working with children. It's very good for working in a social institution, working in therapy, working with people, because the moon is programmed to be able to tell exactly what the other person is feeling and how to regulate other people. From all the moons, this is the most intelligent in regulating other people's emotions after Cancer moon. Yeah, Cancer moon and Libra moon are the best regulators, the best therapists by placement. Because the body has been programmed to be hyper vigilant, to be able to scan what the other person is experiencing, so the Libra moon person isn't rejected by the other person. So it's a programming. It's the trauma itself that creates the psychic ability to be able to scan other people and read them properly. That's why the Libra moon or Libra sun person is a people person, but it's the body that tells you what a person is like. So the good thing is about Libra moon, you could meet a person for the first time. You don't know anything about them, you know nothing, but your body knows exactly. This person, not to be trusted. This placement is also excellent for policemen, interrogators, lawyers, people who have to go after criminals to find out, are you lying or are you telling the truth? If you think Scorpio moon has a good lie detector, you haven't seen a Libra moon that is functioning properly yet. Because the person knows what right and wrong feels like. Yeah, it may sound funny to you, but it's about energy. Like people who do bad things, people who are selfish, people that are cold, detached, people that are criminals, they feel differently to the Libra moon person from somebody who has empathy. So the Libra moon person can feel how emotionally present the other person is. Because this Libra Aries axis is all about co-regulation. Co-regulation only works if you and the other person are on the same page. And the moon can feel that. Because the child, the baby, that's basically your moon, is like a baby in your personality. The body it relies on intuition alone. It has nothing else. It can't communicate. You can't think. You got nothing. So that's why it's so intuitive. That's why it's such a good scanner for bullshit, a lie detector. So if you have this placement, it's not all negative at all. Yeah, it has many benefits. And again, it's one of the best placements for business. It's also one of the best placements to tell whether the other person is still paying you attention, yes or no. So this is how it's similar to Leo moon, because Libra moon can tell, are you actually still paying me attention? Because if you don't, a person gets easily dysregulated. Initially, until then they actually fix their traumas when they don't. But the ability, which was founded on the childhood problems of a psychopathic mother, the abilities never go away. The intuition only gets stronger over time as a person gets older. The intuition to be able to tell what people are like, to be able to tell people's personality, because the ego is completely taken out of it. That means the Libra moon person is programmed to ignore their own subjective experience of other people. Meaning, the other senses, which have access to a different reality, to a higher reality, they're emphasized. They're online. That's why in esoteric astrology, Libra has a connection to Uranus, because it has a connection to the crown chakra. Yeah, once all the kidney issues are resolved, the energy goes up. Because the energy gets grounded in the head. That means the person is no longer wondering, what do I do, what do I do? Oh, I know what to do. It means I know who I'm dealing with. That's why the Libra Aries axis rules the third eye. Because the third eye, you need to be able to tell, is the person lying to me? Is this a deception? Is this a truth? It's the axis of truth. So if you have a Libra moon, these things are very strongly emphasized in your life. You'll be thinking a lot about whether people are lying to you or not. And most of the time, chances are, if you feel that somebody's lying to you, and you have a moon in Libra, 9 out of 10 times we are actually lying. If not 10 out of 10 times. So, that's basically it about this placement. So, if you found this video helpful and you're interested in a personal reading, if you'd like to know more about your personal placements, your natal chart, and how things work together in your chart to form your personality, you can reach out at any given time for a personal reading on Messenger or email. And remember that I'm available 24/7 on Facebook Messenger, so you can check out my services. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, please leave a like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.